Okay, we're going to look at one more section from Chapter 8 that's usually the student's responsibility. I'll make a short video, and it's systems inequalities. So you may have remembered if you took 0306 or from Algebra 1 or Algebra 2, you usually had two equations. You graph both of them, and then you figure out which region you're going to shade. So we'll start off with just doing one with just one equation or one inequality, and we'll figure out how we're going to shade it. So our solution is going to be a shaded region on the xy plane, and we're going to look at the graph. Y is greater than or equal to x. Since it's a greater than or equal to, that says that we're going to have a solid line. And if you have y is greater than or equal to, that means it's going to be above. If it's less than or equal to, then it's got to be below the graph. So since this is y is greater than or equal to x, it's going to be above the graph, so we shade above. Now you can always do like a test point. The easiest one to test is 0, 0. However, in this one, the line goes through 0, 0, so we can't use 0, 0. So I could test something like, I don't know, 1, 0. So if we had like 1, 0 here, 1 comma 0. So you'd have 1 is greater than or equal to 0 because the x is 0 on the y-axis, and that would be true. So we'd shade where it's true, which is above. Now let's mention that if you have strict inequalities, less than and greater than, you're going to have dashed lines. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, then you'll have solid lines when you do your graphs. So let's do a system of inequalities. We'll do x minus 4y is less than or equal to 4, and x minus 4y is greater than 0. If they're not solved for y like they are not solved for y in this one, it might be easiest to use the xy intercept method. So that would be let the x equal 0, find the y, let the y equal 0, and then find the x. So we're going to do that with the first one, the x minus 4y less than or equal to 4. And when we're graphing it, we can treat the inequality as an equal sign, and just remember that is it solid or dashed line. So that's what we'll do here. So x minus 4y is equal to 4. Okay. So when the x is 0, you have negative 4y is equal to 4, so the y should be negative 1. When the y is 0, then the x needs to be 4. So we're going to go ahead and plot those 2 points. 0, negative 1, and 4, 0. And it's going to be a solid line. And here we're going to need to test a point because we don't have explicitly y is less than or y is greater than. You can go ahead and solve the inequality if you like. You'll get the same answer. But if it's like in this form, you might want to pick a test point. So the easiest test point here is 0, 0. So when I plug zeros in, I'm going to get 0 minus 4 times 0 less than or equal to 4. Is 0 less than or equal to 4? That's true. Well, 0, 0 lives above the graph, so we're going to shade above the graph, and that's what we're going to see here. So we're going to test 0, 0. That's 0 minus 4 times 0 less than or equal to 4. That's true, and we will shade above the red line. Okay. Now in blue, we'll go ahead and graph x minus 4y is greater than 0. So again, we'll write this down here just a second. So we have x minus 4y is equal to 0. And what's happening here is if I tried to do the xy intercept method, I get 0, 0, and 0, 0. So I'm going to have to pick another point for either the x or the y. It would probably be easiest to pick a point for the y, so I chose to go ahead and pick 1. So then the negative 4y become a negative 4. To compensate for that, the x would have to be 4, so 4 minus 4 to give us the 0. So that's what's happening here. So then we'll go ahead and graph this. On this thing, I haven't figured out how to make a dashed line. So let me go a little bit further here and fix some stuff here. Okay, So I'm going to shade that. I'm going to say that we need to shade below, and so I can't test 0, 0 because the line goes through 0, 0. So I could test something like we could test this point 0, negative 1 again. Oops, not negative 4, negative 1. Oh, we could test that point too. That would just be a little bit further down. So we tested in the original inequality here. So you have x is 0, that's gone, and then negative 4 times negative 1, that's positive 4, and that's greater than 0. So we need to shade below the blue and above the red. So just this little tube in between the two of them. Okay, and let's move on to one more example. So we have y is greater than or equal to y is greater than or equal to x squared minus 4, and y is less than x minus 2. So y is greater than or equal to x squared minus 4. That's going to be a parabola. You can make a table if you like to graph it. Its vertex is going to be at the bottom here at 0, negative 4. If we plug 1 and negative 1, we're going to get outputs of negative 3. And then if we plug 2 and negative 2 in, we're going to get outputs of 0. And then if we plug in negative 3 and 3, we're going to get outputs of 5. So I realized that I made a mistake when I was graphing that, so I shouldn't have that point over there. I already erased it. Now we have y is greater than or equal to x squared minus 4, so we want to be larger than or above the parabola. So we're going to shade above, or you could also say you're shading inside the parabola. Now the other one I want to graph is y is less than x minus 2. So that has a y-intercept of 0, negative 2, and a slope of 1. So you're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So this time I'm just going to draw a dashed line. Okay. Alright, now this is y is less than x minus 2. So that means we're going to shade below. So we want to do the intersection. So we want to be above the parabola, but also below the blue line at the same time. So we just have a little region of intersection there, and that's what we're going to shade. Okay. Well, that's it for there. In your homework, you might have some circles, or on the My Math Lab. I won't worry a whole lot about the circles. I'd probably ask you something like either 2 lines, like the second example, or this last example where you have a parabola and a line. Those are the types of things I'd probably ask you on your final.